Hi cuties, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another What I Spend in a Month. Today we're going to talk about everything I spent in January. And this video is coming to you a little bit late and I apologize for that. I actually wasn't sure if this was a video that I was going to be able to make. Mainly schedule, but also just like where I'm at currently. So we went on a lovely, fantastic trip to Hawaii. We went to Maui February 2nd to 9th. And then came home, got right back into work. And so schedule wise, it just wasn't great. And then also if you watched my regular vlogs, you know that I'm kind of going through a hard time right now. I don't know why I said kind of. I'm currently going through a challenging time, and reflecting back on money that I spent is a little bit challenging. So you'll see here, I'm gonna basically go through everything I spent, every category. And the one category that I'm not going to touch on is health. And this month in particular, I spent a lot of money on health, and that is just like not really something that currently I'm able to talk about. I feel like eventually, when I have a bit more distance from this time in my life, it would be really interesting to film a video about like how expensive it is to have health problems, because it truly is. I'm very grateful that I live in Canada because a lot of our healthcare is covered, but there are so many other things, especially like alternative healing type modalities, that you pay out of pocket, and it can be very expensive. So just bear with me. I'm going to do my best through this video. I know that this video is content that y'all really like and really enjoy seeing my numbers, and I'm really trying to maintain consistency and keep doing things that bring me joy normally. And so this is one of them. Like, I do enjoy talking about my money and managing my money. It's just I've kind of fallen off from like really caring about money, if that makes sense. It's funny, I think when I'm doing really well and when I'm not doing well are the two times that I like stop caring about money. It's like in those in-between moments that I'm really focused on tracking. But another interesting development is, I think after tracking my money for maybe like almost 4 years, I think I'm starting to think of maybe slowing down on tracking. This is for a bunch of different reasons, but one of the reasons being that I see how Mac is with his money, and he doesn't track as meticulously as I do, and it seems like he has a lot more flow and like a lot more ease with his money. And I just, I don't know if tracking every single expense is something that I can sustain long term. So I'm not making any changes yet, and I still highly recommend expense tracking, especially if you are just getting started learning about money. I think it has like completely changed my financial life, and I would not be where I am in terms of how much I've invested, in terms of how much I know about my own money spending habits, if I hadn't tracked so meticulously for the last couple of years. So I will keep you updated on that, but that's just something that I wanted to mention. What else? How does my money feel? So yeah, my money feels fine. It feels fine. Like, I spent a lot of money in January. I also spent a lot of money in February, mainly because Hawaii is so expensive. It was worth it, but oh my goodness, the dollar is really bad right now, like the Canadian exchange rate for American dollars. And so like food was just crazy. Like a dinner from a food truck for both Mac and I would be like $50 USD, and so Canadian it would be like nearly $80. And just groceries, everything. I knew it was expensive going into it, but it just like caught me by surprise, to be honest. So I feel like I have been bleeding money, and with the health stuff too, I feel like I've been bleeding money. But it's really interesting because like my original goal for myself with money was to create safety and security for myself for when I experience challenging times in my life. And in this current challenging time in my life, I am so grateful that money is not something that I am worried about. That is such a privilege for me to say, and I wish that that was everyone's situation, but like truly me building my emergency fund and building up my investments, like that has all been with the goal to build a foundation and stability for myself so that I could care for myself in a monetary way. so that when I was experiencing challenging times in my life, I'm gonna have other things that I'm dealing with, but money isn't one of them. So I will say, this time has been very hard, but it has reminded me of like why I have chosen to take care of myself in the financial sense. And it's not always a choice. There's lots of barriers that people face in order to get to that point. But I will say, if you are someone who is on this journey and you're trying to build better money habits and build your investments, build an emergency fund, just know that it is really worth it. Your future self will thank you if ever you experience difficulty with, you know, losing your income or being in a place where you feel like you need to spend more money to manage your health. You're going to be thankful that you put in that work. So I will say that, but let's just get into the numbers. I know that that's what everyone is really like excited about, and I am going to go through each transaction as I normally do, just not the health stuff. And I hope that you'll understand. I think that the girlies and the guys who experience spending a lot of money on their health like will understand, but just I'm fragile, okay? I'm fragile. Okay, so in January, I spent a total of $4,702. This is quite a bit more than my usual, but about like almost half of that was health stuff. So I don't know how many times I can just like talk about this. I don't really want to talk about it, to be honest, but yeah, that's why it was like way more expensive. But I was also able to invest $1,700. Something I wanted to touch on as well is I don't share my income. And if you were to look at what I spent, you're like, okay, 500, like, damn, is she making $7,000 a month? No, I'm not. I am a person that keeps some cash liquid. So example, I have my emergency fund, I have a travel fund, so I like saved up before we went to Hawaii, and I also keep a buffer amount in my checking account. And so whenever you see me say I spent this much and I invested this much, that does not mean that that is all money that came in that month. And I think that that's something important to share, because I really don't want you to be viewing this video and being like, dang, I wish that I made $7,000 a month. I do not. And you just never know where that money is coming from. Also, when people say they've spent this much, some of that might still be on their credit cards. For me, I never keep a balance on my credit card, but again, I keep my money kind of like liquid so that in times where I have a more expensive month, I can cover it. And so it's not necessarily from the income from that month, but it is money that I'm spending, but it was there. I hope that makes sense. So let's go through the categories. These are in no particular order. They're just like, they're not like in ascending order like I normally do. Ascending, descending. Anyways, home, I spent $1,116. Restaurants and takeout, I spent $125. Groceries, $309. Subscriptions, $36. Travel, $279. Gifts and charity, $60. Gas, Uber, and parking, $94. Clothes, $282. Health, $2,088. Beauty, $160. Entertainment, $33. Coffee, $120, for a total of $4,702, and I also invested $1,700. So let's go through all of the transactions, shall we? So for home, I've got my computer right here. That's what I'm looking at. So for home, the biggest expense that always comes out is rent. So I live with my boyfriend and our rent is very reasonable. My half is $837.50. I will say that Mac and I have been thinking about, talking about, and looking at homes. We originally had a goal to buy a detached house, but looking at the market and looking at the prices, and basically like this was our experience going into like realtor.ca, putting in like our max budget that would like pretty much make us like house poor, and seeing that those homes were still homes that looked like they were being held together with Velcro. The housing market is just crazy, and I know it's even worse in places other than Calgary. Like Calgary is still like okay, it's not as crazy as Vancouver or Toronto, but it was discouraging. So we're now looking at like a townhome or like a different style of home. And that is something that we're going to be looking at, not for any time soon. We're just starting like preliminary research. This is something that Mac has wanted to do for a while, and it's taken me a while to come around to the idea of actually purchasing a home. But I may talk about that more. But we've got like a couple of years. Like this is not something we're doing this year. This is probably not something we're doing next year. Maybe it would be awesome if we could do it next year. But anyways, I just wanted to mention that we're coming up on 5 years in our rental, and it's been amazing. But kind of on that same vein of like stability, we're just looking at the next step, and that may be the next step for us. I know that people have like lots of different opinions on like home ownership, and it's not necessarily something that I'm looking at as an investment. It's more so that you need a place to live. You're either going to rent or your own. You've got 2 choices. So I'll talk about that when it comes up. So I spent $36.87 at Shoppers for dishwasher pods and paper towels. I spent $70.11 at Amazon for a sunset lamp, a sunset alarm clock, and a new pill organizer. I needed like a bigger one to fit all of my supplements, you know, the vibes. My monthly phone bill was $64. I don't know why I put this in home. I think that this should go in subscriptions. Our internet, my half is $67.73, and our energy is $40. Actually, I'll say this. With the whole like tracking thing, Mac doesn't really love tracking all of his money. And so there's some expenses in here that are kind of estimated. So for example, he pays our energy bill. I don't know what our energy bill was for January. So I put in $40 as like an estimate. So just do with that information what you will. Sometimes you have to be okay with just estimating your numbers and just, you know, being okay with that. All right, moving on to restaurants and takeout. I got a smoothie from Seed and Salt, delicious, $10. I got a smoothie from Dedicate, $10.91. And then I got a smoothie from Dedicate 2 other times. If you've been watching my vlogs, you know that I've been struggling with my appetite. And so smoothies are something that that appeal to me and have been helpful to me. So I can buy all of the smoothies in the world. It's okay. And with restaurants and takeout, again, I just need to feed myself. And so whether that's groceries or takeout, I've been really giving myself a pass in that area because I need to eat what feels good to me, and I just need to make sure that I'm fed, okay? So I got a mocktail from Blue Rock Swim Club. If you're in Calgary, I highly recommend going to this bar. It's where Worst used to be. It's like in the basement of South Block. And it's so funny because Worst, like if you know, you know, that's when in our younger years, we were dancing on the tables there. But it's like a really vibey club. Now, not club, kind of like bar. I don't know, it's like chill and like couches and lounging. It's really cool. And yeah, we went there for work and I got a mocktail and it was $9.66. We ordered dinner one night. I don't know what we got, maybe sushi or shawarma, and my half was $35. And then one night we had wings and that cost me $40, and we got that on Uber Eats. So restaurants and takeout was actually not that bad for January. Let's go to groceries. So for groceries, a lot of these are really similar. So I went to Safeway 3 times. One time was one time was $42.50. One time was $32.73. One time was $61.55. I went to Shoppers 6 times, and let's see, one time was $23.57, one time was $15.47, $19.41, $15.66, $15.66, $10.44, $22.24. You can see here I was just going and buying little food, little snacks, things to keep myself fed, and each time it looks like on average I spent like $20. And then Superstore, we got groceries delivered, I guess one time it looks like, and that was $50. So pretty light. I'm trying to think here like what we did for food, like I don't know. But yeah, that was groceries. Subscriptions, Disney Plus, I got like an offer when I bought something from Aerie. a couple weeks ago that I could get Disney Plus for $3 a month. So we've been doing that. So that was $3.14. My Apple iCloud storage, $4.19. Netflix, my half is $12. I did see that this was going up though. It's going up to like, I don't know how much, but we got like a little alert on our TV. Patreon for one of my favorite podcasts, Money Feels. If you don't listen to Money Feels, you should if you're interested in money. Two Alberta gals, one Calgary, one Edmonton. They're two of like my favorite influencers to follow, and they have this incredible podcast called Money Feels. I hope that you can't hear the snowblower. Okay, and Spotify, $11.37. Travel. Okay, we bought sunscreen from Amazon before our trip to Hawaii, and it was $30. I guess my half was $30. I bought some disposable cameras from Amazon as well. We bought two, so Mac and I could each have one when we were in Hawaii, and that was $61.28. I had no idea that disposable cameras were this price. And then we had to book an extra hotel room for the end of our trip in Hawaii because we kind of messed up our schedule. Basically, our flight was like super late and we had like 12 hours we needed to kill before we went to the airport, so we decided to get a hotel room, and my half was $188 because accommodation in Hawaii is bonkers expensive, and it was a shitty hotel. I will say this, it was not a good hotel. It did what it needed to do. We got to like rest and shower, but it was truly a shitty hotel, and we paid what, nearly $400 for it, and we didn't even sleep there. Gifts and charity. I bought a Jellycat for my friend and coworker McKenna's daughter for her first birthday. That was $24.68. I got some cards and a little gift for McKenna when she came back from mat leave from Recess for $16.69. And then I also brought my nephew to this place called Love to Play, which is like a play place, and I guess I could maybe put this under entertainment, but I got him like the admission to go in and some cotton candy. Feels to me kind of like a gift, you know, it wasn't for me. So that was $18.69. Gas, Uber, and parking. Took an Uber to and from our Christmas party. We had that in January, and that was $13.83, so that was my half. I reloaded my parking app for $25. I filled up on gas one time, and that was $55.28. With my new car, I haven't been driving too much. I don't drive very much. I usually fill up gas like one time per month, and it's usually like around $60, which is very reasonable. So I know that other people drive a lot or like have a long commute, but that is something that I'm very thankful for. I love my new car. I just like don't drive her that often or not very far, you know? Clothes. I got some accessories from Simon's for our Christmas party. I got tights and a little scrunchie, and that was $27.93. I got some dress pants from the Gap to wear to work, and those were $86.73. I got a bag from Lululemon. Oh yes, I got kind of like a fanny pack style bag from Lululemon for Hawaii, and that was $30.45. And then the big one was I got a linen set from Dynamite for Hawaii, and if you watched the Hawaii vlog, you know that I wore that every single day. I wore those pants every single day, and the overshirt, it was like so perfect for what I needed for that trip, and that was $136.40. So that was definitely a good purchase, and I see myself wearing that for years to come. Health, we're skipping over that. Beauty. I got a manicure and pedicure before we went to Hawaii, and that was $133.13. That was very worth it, just so that I could have beautiful nails while we were in Hawaii. I also got like a bright pink color on my toes, and it made me happy. I got some root spray from Shoppers because my grays are popping. I've never dyed my hair or covered my grays. You can maybe see some of them, but they're covered up with root spray. It's basically just like spray paint that you cover your grays. I do have an appointment booked to get my grays covered because I think I am just at the point that I just want to start coloring my hair. So that root spray, I got like two different options because I didn't know which one I was gonna like. I got one that was kind of like a brush and one that was a spray, and that was $38.65. I got white strips from Shoppers, $35.57. This is also something that I did pre-Hawaii trip. I find that beauty stuff and shopping before trips can get very expensive, and even though I spent a lot on it, I just need to tell you that you do not need to buy anything. You do not need to, like, you know, make yourself look any different before you go on vacation. But if it makes you feel better, go for it, but it can get out of hand. I usually do a spray tan before a trip, and this time I decided not to. I just was feeling like, okay, we're just gonna embrace my natural skin tone. I didn't want to pay for it. I also knew that I'd be in the ocean a lot, so I knew that it would wash off quickly. So anyways, and then I actually have minus $47 for a return that I did at Sephora. This was kind of iconic. I ordered a shampoo conditioner set that came with an extra like treatment and the Amica hydration set, and when it came, the treatment in a glass bottle was broken, and so I submitted for like a refund of like that product, but they gave me a refund for the whole thing, so I ended up getting like all of that for free. So I love that, and I bought that in December, so the return came through in January. Entertainment, I bought a book on my Kobo for $14.69. I usually like getting my books from the library, but because I have a book podcast and sometimes I like need a book so that I can read it in time, I will purchase it on ebook. So that was $14.69. And then I also got a case for my Kobo, just like a clear one from Indigo for $18.48. Did I have a gift card that I used for that? Because that seems like too little. And then the last category is coffee, but I actually didn't drink coffee in January. I switched from coffee to matcha. I was trying this out. So this should be called matcha, but I just have it labeled as coffee because that's what it normally is. And I spent $120.19. I went to DeVille 5 times and got a matcha latte. I went to Phil and Sebastian 1 time for a matcha latte. I went to Analog 1 time for a matcha latte. And I reloaded my Starbucks card 1 time with $50 and 1 time with $25. Now that I look at that, I probably got some breakfast sandwiches or sandwiches for lunch, so that could kind of feed into my restaurants and takeout budget, but it's in this coffee budget because it was like a reload of my Starbucks card. I hope that makes sense. Okay, that was everything. So that wasn't as scary as I thought it was gonna be. I don't know. I have been really in my head. So I hope that you enjoyed that. I am planning to film a what I spend in February. I just need to go back and do some calculations for what we spent in Hawaii because I actually brought a lot of cash and that was fantastic, like a lot of US cash, and that was great because I like the conversion rate was none of my business and I didn't want to tap my credit card and then be looking and being upset of how much it cost me. So I spent all of that cash first and then I spent a little bit on my credit card, and then of course Mac has some expenses that are kind of split between us. So again, it's gonna be one of those things that I'm going to kind of have to do my best guess at like how much we spent on certain items, because mainly because I mostly spent cash, so I don't really know what I bought, but I'll do my best. And then today is February 15th, so that's the middle of the month, so there's obviously some other stuff that I've bought this month, but I am planning to film that, and hopefully I'm feeling a little bit better about that health spending category. Let me see where I'm currently at. Okay, I'm currently at $165, which is way better than January. So who knows, maybe we'll go into that. One thing I will say with the health that I can like share is I got an Oura ring, and this was just over $400, very expensive. I got the generation 3, so that's why it, like a generation 4, the new one is like 600 or something, but I have really been enjoying it. I might do like a video where I'm talking about the Oura ring and how I like it and stuff, but that was one thing that I spent in that health category. And then just for like, I don't know, even transparency, there was one treatment that I got done in January that was health related that cost me $1,000. So that was half of my health budget. And then the other stuff were supplements, other miscellaneous appointments that weren't covered by my insurance. So anyways, that's like what kind of made it up, but I don't even know if you'd be curious about like what was in there, but okay, Mel, just stop talking about it. Literally shut up. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, please let me know, because it was honestly hard for me to make this and like just to get myself to kind of like go through the month and kind of like revisit some of the things, just because like literally looking at some of these line items, I'm like, oh, I remember when I bought that, and like it just like it just like brings up some stuff that I don't really want to revisit. So I really hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that February's what I spend in the month feels a little bit more normal, and you know, we can only hope. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.